If you're a Pokemon fan, that most likely means that you have a favorite Pokemon. Whether it be because that Pokemon has been with you ever since you were a child and helped you create many, many amazing memories, or maybe your favorite Pokemon stems from it being so reliable that you have to have it on almost every team in every game you play with. It could even be the case that your favorite Pokemon is the first ever shiny Pokemon that you found randomly in the grass one day. Or maybe your favorite Pokemon is a starter Pokemon that you just started your journey with and have a special connection with. Or maybe it's your favorite plushie and you just love looking at it, and look how cute it is. Oh, Bagon, you're so cute. You're amazing. Oh, look how tiny it is, your little arms and everything. But unfortunately, Bagon, you're not on the list today because we are going to be talking about my top 5 favorite Pokemon and my top 5 least favorite Pokemon. What we're going to be doing is going one by one, top 5 favorite, top 5 least favorite, top 4 favorite, top 4 least favorite, and so on. So let's get this video started. But if you haven't already, make sure to click that subscription button and hit the bell to get notified when I post a video, because we post a video here every single week. But yeah, without further ado, let's jump into my top 5 favorite and my top 5 least favorite Pokemon of all time. So let's get started with the top 5 least favorite Pokemon, which we're gonna start with the 5th least favorite Pokemon, which means that this Pokemon is the best of my least favorite ones, at least in the top 5. But yeah, we're gonna start off strongly here with a Pokemon that I'm sure some of you guys also don't really like, in Watchog. Watchog is the Gen 5 normal type rodent Pokemon. It has really beady eyes, and I just never really enjoyed its design a lot. I don't know. I feel like Parrot could have evolved into something a lot better. I don't know. And I feel like it kind of looks like it's like has like a wife beater like vest on type of thing, and I don't know. I've never really been a fan of that. And honestly, Watchog deserves this number 5 placement of top 5 worst favorite Pokemon of all time. But anyway, let's move on to something more positive, and that is my top 5 favorite Pokemon, which is the 5th favorite Pokemon of all time. And this spot goes to Poliwhirl, or even the Poliwhirl line. Poliwhirl has been a day one favorite of mine ever since my cousin gave me a really nice Poliwhirl plushie from 1998. I don't currently have it in my room, but I do have it over downstairs in a closet, just so he's safe and all. But genuinely, Poliwhirl has been one of my favorite Pokemon of all time, and I love shiny Politoed especially. I think Politoed and Poliwhirl genuinely are one of my favorite Pokemon of all time, and it is a Pokemon worthy of the top 5 spot. So let's get on to the 4th least favorite Pokemon of all time, which is also a Pokemon that people don't really like, from what I understand. Which this Pokemon is Enamorus, the new genie that was released in Pokemon Legends Z through A, which I honestly think was really not needed. Genuinely, really not needed at all. Enamorus just kind of looks silly, and I guess that is the point of the genie form, but I don't know. I think it was a Pokemon we didn't really need. Like, the 3 regular genies that we have already, like, they're enough, and I think adding another one was just kind of weird. And I also don't like the genies at all, but I had to place this one at the least because this one is just not one that I enjoy. Again, I don't enjoy the genies. They're probably, again, all some of my least favorite Pokemon, but Enamorus is the one that breaks the top 5 least favorite Pokemon here. So again, let's go to the top 4 of my favorite Pokemon of all time, which is actually a little generic, I'm not gonna lie. And as a avid Pokemon fan, I almost want to apologize for it, but I really do love this Pokemon, and it has impacted my life so much that I have to include it. And that is Pikachu. I almost actually put a Alolan Raichu here because it was one of the first ever shiny Pokemon that I hunted for, but which in reality, it was actually a Pikachu that I hunted for. When I was little, I grew up loving Pokemon, and I always carried a Pikachu plush around with me. And that kind of stuck into adulthood, not gonna lie. Just a little bit. Just a wee little bit. But yeah, Pikachu has been a really, really important part of my life, and honestly, Pokemon wouldn't be the same without Pikachu. I have to just genuinely say that. But not only that, again, it was one of the first ever shiny Pokemon that I hunted for, and evolved into a shiny Alolan Raichu, which is fantastic. It looks so beautiful. But yeah, I genuinely had to put this at this number 4 spot, and honestly, Pikachu is one of the best Pokemon of all time, and I generally think most people would agree. But let's move on to the third least favorite Pokemon of all time, which is Fluttermane. Those of you who play VGC would probably somewhat agree or not agree. It really probably is 50-50. But I had a really bad experience when I started VGC back in 2023 because this Pokemon was running the format. Honestly, it still sort of is in a way. It's not as prevalent as before, especially thankfully because of Regulation H now in effect, but damn. Fluttermane is crazy, and it's just one of my least favorite Pokemon because it's used so much, and I also don't really enjoy the design all that much. It kind of feels a little too simple for a Paradox Pokemon in my opinion. I feel like they could have maybe given Mischievous something a little more unique. Maybe even some kind of different color mixed in with it. But yeah, Fluttermane isn't my favorite Pokemon at all, and its typing is broken, and it's really good in VGC, which makes me not want to run it. So Fluttermane genuinely deserves the third place least favorite Pokemon, just because I'm not a big fan of its design like at all, and it just isn't a Pokemon I like seeing on a VGC team. But let's move on to the third favorite Pokemon of all time, which is one that I am so excited to share with you today because it's a starter Pokemon, and I love starter Pokemon. And this Pokemon that is here with me today is Turtwig, which is the number 3 favorite Pokemon of all time. Look at him! He's just a turtle, and he's so cute. He's so adorable. One of my first ever starter Pokemon ever, one of my first games ever was Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, and I chose Turtwig. He's so cute. He's just so cute. And I love Torterra a lot as well. He might be a little small compared to this Turtwig, but he's still big and mighty in his own way. But yeah, the Turtwig line has genuinely impacted my life amazingly, and I just love the design of this starter Pokemon as well. Turtwig and Torterra, and Grottle to a little lesser extent, are genuinely just so amazing, and I love their little, I love the design of a grass-type tortoise Pokemon that has like a tree growing on its back. It's so cool. So Turtwig definitely deserves the spot of number 3 favorite Pokemon of all time. Alright guys, we're breaking on to the top 2 of the least favorite Pokemon and the favorite Pokemon of all time. So let's get this started here. And the number 2 least favorite Pokemon of all time is one that shouldn't be surprised if you watch me over on twitch.tv/jacobpomegranate, which you should totally check out, by the way, because this Pokemon is Greedent, the rodent Pokemon of Generation 8. Man, oh Greedent. Squirtle was actually kind of cute, I'm not gonna lie, but Greedent, do I even have to say anything? Like, it's Greedent. I don't know, I just don't like it. I feel like it's a pale imitation to Snorlax, and in my opinion, just a worse design Snorlax as well. Like, I don't know, man. I'm not a fan of this at all. Like, it's Greedent, man. It's just not something I like, man. I want to move on to the second favorite Pokemon of all time, which is also, honestly, so close to the top, which is Metagross. My favorite pseudo-legendary of all time, and my second favorite Pokemon of all time. Metagross is so awesome, and it's just dominant, man. It's such a cool Pokemon, and it's one of the only pseudo-legendaries, or powerhouse Pokemon, as the official term is now called, to be a type that's not a dragon type. The steel type is actually probably my third favorite typing of all time as well, and I think Metagross just exemplifies the steel typing. It is a steel and psychic type, but it's really, really cool. This is my only plushie of Metagross. He's a little tiny bean, but I really wish I could get the shiny version, which again, the shiny Metagross is amazing. Oh my god, and that's also one of the reasons why it's my second favorite Pokemon of all time. Like, Metagross is so cool looking, and then they gave it a freaking awesome shiny variant. Like, this guy gets even cooler. And also the Beldum line is just really cool in general. I love Metang, the way Metang is designed. I love Beldum, and I love how the lore is that each Beldum is like a leg, and then they all combine to basically make Metagross. So Metagross is my second favorite Pokemon of all time. So He's just a guy, and he's awesome, man. He's the best pseudo-legendary in my opinion. I mean, powerhouse Pokemon in my opinion. But now we are at the #1 spot for the least favorite Pokemon and the favorite Pokemon of all time. And if you really do know me, you should probably be able to guess what this is. The #1 least favorite Pokemon of all time is Sunkern. I know a lot of you guys are gonna be like, what? Jacob? Sunkern? That little thing? And I'm like, look, hey, I'm honestly putting Sunkern here because it's a beady-eyed devil, okay? It's just, ugh. I don't like Sunkern, and also Sunflora. I'm not a fan of Sunflora, definitely not a fan of Sunflora. Holy crap, like, Sunflora is probably also there, like, it's literally just the line, no. I have beef with a little seed. Sunkern is mainly my least favorite Pokemon because back in my Pokemon Go heydays when I was like 18, back in like 2018, I was doing a Pokemon community day for actually a Pokemon that I don't remember. It's probably a starter Pokemon, but I was looking all over for this Pokemon in the community day, and all I was able to get was a shiny Sunkern, which shiny Sunkern doesn't change at all. And in my opinion, Sunflora is even worse. Just gets lighter, but Sunkern is darker, like just a little tad darker. But yeah, it kind of drove me insane, and that's the main reason why Sunkern is my least favorite Pokemon of all time. But before we get into the #1 favorite Pokemon of all time, I gotta mention at least 3 honorable mentions that I wish I could have talked about in this list, so I'm gonna talk about anyway. And these 3 Pokemon are Haxorus, Kingdra, and Volcarona. The reason why Volcarona is an honorable mention is because it was my first ever shiny Pokemon of all time that I caught. I was just roaming the Mirage Islands in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire trying to collect some Pokemon for the Pokédex, and I found a shiny Larvesta and managed to catch it in an Ultra Ball with like literally 1 throw. So 16-year-old Jacob was insanely happy, and I immediately evolved it as soon as I could. And holy crap, shiny Volcarona is beautiful, and it just is submitted as one of my favorite Pokemon of all time. And Kingdra, which is the second honorable mention here, I just genuinely love the Horsey line, and also it happens to share my favorite dual typing ever, which is Water Dragon. I love water types and I love dragon types, so the combination of the two is just fantastic. And also shiny Kingdra, hello dude, like oh my god, that purple is just magnificent. So Kingdra is definitely at that top. So Kingdra definitely deserves an honorable mention here. And my #1 is the Haxorus that I had mentioned. Haxorus was so close to making the top 5 cut, guys. It's my favorite dragon type of all time, and I just love it. And its shiny form is amazing as well. The Axew line is so cute, and Haxorus is just so menacing and awesome. I really almost wish that it was the pseudo-legendary of Gen 5 over Hydreigon, because, I don't know, I like it more than Hydreigon, even though Hydreigon is cool. It's just, Haxorus, man, it's so much cooler in my opinion, and its shiny form is just amazing. But yeah, that pretty much caps off the honorable mentions here, so let's get into the favorite Pokemon of all time, which really should not be surprising, considering I have basically a shrine of him all over my room. It is Swampert. Swampert is my favorite Pokemon of all time, and Mudkip is there as well, basically, because it's the pre-evolution to Swampert. But Swampert has much more significance to me because I've probably spent way more time with it. It was my first ever Pokemon that I got to level 100. It was my first ever starter Pokemon I've ever picked, because Pokemon Emerald was my first game I ever played, and it was the Pokemon that I was determined to use in VGC when I was a kid. Which I did use it a little bit, but I can't use it now. It just doesn't hold up the same. Swampert still is #1 in my heart, and I don't think I'm ever gonna feel any different. Swampert and Mudkip are just amazing, and they're so cute. They're so adorable. And the water ground typing is so OP as well. I know it wasn't the first Pokemon with the water ground typing that technically goes to Quagsire, but it's the #1 in my heart. So yeah, guys, those are my top 5 favorite and top 5 least favorite Pokemon of all time. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I was a little all over the place, and I felt like I was really trying to get across that I'm really passionate about these Pokemon, and really passionate about hating on my least favorite Pokemon, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, guys, let me know in the comments below what your favorite and least favorite Pokemon of all time are. I would love to know. I would especially love to know if you guys feel the same way I do about some of those Pokemon that are like my least favorite. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll make sure to see you guys next week with a Beyblade YouTube video or a Pokemon YouTube video. I don't know, I might try to do two Pokemon YouTube videos in a row. But yeah, guys, I appreciate you guys watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. So make sure to leave a like, leave a comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys on the flip side. But before I go, I want to promote one last time the Twitch or the YouTube live streams that I've been having here, which currently I am doing a Nuzlocke playthrough of Pokemon Coliseum. So if that's something you guys might be interested in, definitely show up and have the notification bell on. But yeah, guys, I'll see you guys on the flip side, and I hope you guys have a wonderful pomegranate day.